Invaders believed their fleet was unstoppable until a virus hacked their systems to chaos. The Zeroth Alliance descended upon Electra with relentless fury. 200 warships pierced the planet's pale atmosphere, their hulls glinting like predators' eyes. Their target was Erindril, the crown jewel of Electra, a city carved into the icy peaks of the Valthor Range. Crystal towers and steel spires rose from frozen cliffs, shimmering under a weak sun, their energy shields humming faintly against the encroaching darkness. General Toran stood at the heart of the command spire, his weathered face etched with scars from 30 years of leadership. Gray hair framed his sharp, unyielding eyes, and his reinforced uniform bore badges of hard-won victories. He barked orders through the comms, his voice steady despite the chaos. 5,000 native troops scrambled to their stations, manning defenses against the Zeroth's plasma bombardments. Explosions tore through the city's outer rings, sending ice and debris skyward. Lieutenant Mira clung to her pulse turret, her heart pounding. At 22, with short black hair and skin paled by Electra's dim light, she faced her first battle. Her uniform fit tightly, her gloved hands trembling as she aimed. Zeroth drones swarmed like locusts, their beams reducing 30% of Erindril's outer defenses to smoldering rubble. The ground quaked beneath her, each blast a jolt to her nerves. A stealth drop ship sliced through the storm of anti-aircraft fire. Max Rayner piloted it, leading 50 elite operatives from Earth. His cropped brown hair and scarred cheek marked a life of conflict, his tactical armor snug against his lean frame. He wove the ship through laser barrages, his jaw set with purpose. The dropship's engines roared as it descended, a fleeting shadow amid the chaos. The Zeroth unleashed graviton mines, their pulses warping gravity itself. Entire city districts buckled, buildings collapsing into jagged heaps. Screams echoed as civilians fled. Toran's console flared with alerts. He scanned the feeds, his voice cutting through the din. Retreat to the bunkers, now! Troops hauled wounded comrades, racing for safety as the city crumbled. Max's team hit the ground, quantum phase rifles humming. Their beams sliced through Zeroth scout units, metal husks crashing in showers of sparks. They secured a landing zone, evacuation shuttles hovering above, their thrusters scorching the ice. Hold the line, Max shouted, his operatives forming a defensive ring, weapons blazing with precision. Mira fired her turret, a drone erupting in a fireball. Then she froze. A fellow soldier charged a Zeroth scout, only to fall, pierced by an energy blade. His body hit the ice, lifeless. Fear gripped Mira, but something fiercer stirred. She tightened her grip, targeting another drone. Her shot true. The machine shattered and she exhaled, resolve hardening. Toran's scans locked onto the Zeroth flagship, a 2-kilometer dreadnought of dark alloy looming in orbit. Its ion cannon glowed, charging for a city-killing strike. It's targeting the core, he warned, his voice grim. The weapon's blue light cast an eerie glow over the feeds. Max glanced skyward, memories flooding back. As a child, he'd fled a similar invasion on Earth, his home reduced to ash. Electran forces had pulled him from the wreckage. Now he fought to repay that debt. Push forward, he urged, his team cutting through more scouts, their rifles leaving trails of phased energy. Erindril's spires groaned under the bombardment. Cracks snaked through the ice, towers toppling into the valleys below. Toran activated the final fallback. All units to the core shelters, he broadcast. Civilians streamed underground, their footsteps a desperate rhythm against the quaking earth. Mira abandoned her turret, clutching a rifle as she joined the retreat. Explosions chased them, heat singeing the air. Max's dropship loaded wounded, his team holding the perimeter. Zeroth drones pressed closer, their buzz relentless. Toran sealed the spire's doors, his eyes fixed on the feeds. The ion cannon fired, a beam lancing down. It vaporized a district in a flash of white heat, the shock wave rippling outward. "Surface is lost," he muttered, his voice heavy with the weight of defeat. Max signaled his team, "Regroup below." They fought their way back, quantum shots felling scouts in droves. The drop ship dove into the tunnels, darkness swallowing its hull. Mira reached the bunker entrance, turning to fire one last burst. A drone sparked and fell. Relief flickered, fleeting but real. The city lay in ruins, its spires reduced to jagged remnants. Dust and ice clouded the air, a shroud over Erindrel's fall. Yet in the core shelters, life persisted. Generators hummed, troops regrouped, and defiance simmered. Toran addressed his officers, his voice resolute. "We hold here. Earth stands with us." Max checked his gear, his past fueling his resolve, while Mira cleaned her rifle, her fear giving way to determination. Above, the Cirith prepared their next assault, but below, the seeds of resistance took root, ready to challenge the invaders' might. The core shelters of Electra thrummed with a low hum of generators, their walls carved from the planet's ancient ice. Dim lights cast long shadows over the huddled masses. Max Raynor's team, the 7th Orbital Rangers, carved out a forward base in the icy caverns, a labyrinth of frost and stone stretching beneath the Valthor Range. 10,000 displaced civilians crowded the tunnels, their breath misting in the frigid air. Max moved with purpose, his tactical armor scuffed but intact, directing his 50 operatives to secure the perimeter. Automated turrets rose from the cavern floor, their antimatter warheads glinting under emergency lights. The Rangers calibrated them to target Cirith's shielded walkers, machines that had torn through Erindrel's surface defenses. Each turret hummed, ready to unleash devastation. Max checked their alignment, his scarred cheek taut with focus. "Lock them on motion sensors," he ordered, his voice cutting through the clamor. General Turan met Max in a makeshift command hub, a hollowed-out chamber lined with glowing consoles. "Electra's defenses are crumbling," Turan said, pointing to a holomap. 12 orbital cannons once guarded the planet. Now only 3 remained, their beams struggling against the Cirith fleet's onslaught. Max nodded, his brown eyes scanning the map, calculating their odds. Lieutenant Mira joined the Rangers, her rookie status no longer a shield. Assigned to Max's unit, she gripped a plasma grenade, its sleek casing cold in her hands. She trained under a veteran operative, learning to arm the weapon's fusion core. Her first attempts fumbled, but she gritted her teeth, mastering the trigger. The drills were relentless, mirroring the war outside. The Cirith struck without warning. A ground assault surged into the caverns, 1,500 biomechanical soldiers charging through the tunnels. Their exoskeletons shimmered, deflecting standard laser fire. Claws gleamed, and optics glowed red. Max's team responded with EMP pulses, their devices crackling. The blast disabled 20% of the enemy, circuits frying in a cascade of sparks. 2 Rangers fell, their armor pierced by Cirith's claws, their bodies dragged clear by comrades. Turan faced his lieutenants in the command hub. Voices rose sharp with dissent. Surrender could save lives, one argued, his face pale. Turan's fist slammed the console. "We fight for Electra's soul," he growled. His scars seemed to deepen, his resolve unyielding. The room fell silent, the weight of his words anchoring them. Max crouched beside a downed Cirith drone, its hull cracked open. He pried into its circuits, hacking its data core with a portable decryptor. Lines of code scrolled across his device, revealing Cirith's plans. A full-scale planetary siege, set to begin in 48 hours. His jaw tightened. "They're not stopping," he muttered, sharing the intel with Toran. Mira, paired with a ranger squad, patrolled the cavern's edge. A Zereth scout lunged from the shadows, its energy blade flashing. She dodged, her training kicking in. Her plasma grenade arced through the air, detonating in a burst of light. The scout collapsed, its frame molten. Max nodded from a distance, noting her shift from fear to focus. Mira's chest heaved, a spark of confidence igniting. Torin and Max convened in the hub, their faces lit by the holomap's glow. The Tsireth's siege loomed, their numbers overwhelming. "We hit their supply depot," Max proposed, pointing to a crater 50 kilometers from Arindril. "Disrupt their momentum." Turan agreed, his eyes narrowing. "High risk, but we have no choice." The cavern grew quiet, the hum of machinery a constant undertone. Mira cleaned her grenade launcher, her hands steady now. She recalled the soldier's death in Arindril, the fear it sparked. That fear was fading, replaced by purpose. Max checked his rifle, its quantum phase core fully charged. His mind flickered to his childhood, to the Electron ships that pulled him from Earth's ruins. This mission was his debt, his vow. He addressed his team, voice firm. "We move at dawn, no rest until we strike." Torn deployed scouts to map the depot's defenses. The holomap updated, showing 200 automated sentries guarding the target. The Rangers prepared cloaking tech, their suits shimmering faintly. Mira volunteered for the raid, her voice steady. Max handed her a photon carbine. "Stay sharp," he said. The caverns echoed with footsteps as the team mobilized. Tsireth drones scouted above, their hum a distant threat. The shelters held, but the air grew heavy with tension. Torin watched the feeds, his hand resting on his sidearm. "We're not done yet," he murmured. Max led his team toward the tunnel's exit, their cloaks activating. Mira followed, carbine ready, her steps silent on the ice. The depot raid loomed, a gamble to turn the tide. Above, the Tsireth fleet tightened its grip, its warships blotting out the stars. But in the caverns, defiance burned, a spark waiting to ignite. The icy tunnels of Electra's core shelters gave way to a jagged crater, 50 kilometers from Arindril's ruins. Max Raynor led 30 Rangers, their cloaking tech shimmering as they crept toward the Tsireth supply depot. The crater's rim loomed, a frozen scar under Electra's pale sky. 200 automated sentries patrolled the depot, their optics scanning for movement. Below, 10,000 plasma cores glowed in neat stacks, fueling the Tsireth war machine. Max signaled a halt, his scarred cheek taut as he scanned the terrain. His team's cloaks bent light, rendering them near invisible. "Charges ready," he whispered through comms. Each ranger carried fusion charges, primed to obliterate the depot. Mira, gripping her photon carbine, crouched beside him. Her black hair clung to her sweat-damp forehead, but her eyes were steady, tracking the sentry's patterns. The team descended, silent as shadows. Mira's carbine hummed, its scope locked on a sentry drone. She fired, a photon burst vaporizing its core. The machine crumpled, sparking. Max nodded, a flicker of respect in his gaze. "Good shot," he said, voice low. The team planted charges, weaving through crates under the drone's relentless patrol. Tsireth hover tanks roared into view, their gravitic shields pulsing. 4 machines, each armed with plasma cannons, rolled across the crater. The Rangers scattered, cloaks flickering under fire. Max dove behind a crate, returning fire with his quantum phase rifle. Beams pierced one tank's shield, its hull exploding in a shower of molten metal. From the core shelters, General Toran monitored the raid via holofeed. His scarred hands gripped the console. "Divert the last orbital cannon," he ordered. A beam lanced from orbit, obliterating 2 hover tanks in a blast of light. The crater shook, ice cracking underfoot. Toran's voice crackled through comms. "You've got cover. Move." Max's mind flashed to his childhood, to Earth's burning skies. His family had perished in an alien raid, their screams haunting him. Electron ships had saved him, and now he fought to repay that debt. He pushed forward, planting another charge. "Keep moving," he urged, his voice sharp. The depot erupted, fusion charges igniting the plasma cores. A fireball consumed the crater, sending shock waves through the ice. 3 Rangers fell, caught in a hover tank's final salvo, their cloaks failing as shrapnel tore through. Max grabbed Mira, pulling her behind cover. Her breath hitched, eyes wide at the loss. "They're gone," she whispered, gripping her carbine tighter. Torin's hollow feed flickered with new intel. 50 Zereth warships were en route, a second wave to crush Electra's remnants. His jaw tightened. "The depot's down, but they're not stopping," he told Max via comms. The general's lieutenants stood silent, their earlier descent buried under the weight of survival. Mira steadied herself, her naivety eroding with each death. She fired at a retreating drone, its frame shattering. The cost of war sank in, yet she vowed to fight on. Her hands no longer trembled. "We can't let them win," she said, voice firm. Max rallied the surviving Rangers, and their cloaks re-engaged. "Back to the shelters," he ordered. The team retreated, weaving through the crater's smoldering ruins. The depot's destruction had disrupted Zereth's supply lines, but the victory felt hollow. 3 caskets would return with them. In the shelters, Torin updated the holomap. The Zereth fleet loomed closer, their numbers overwhelming. He turned to his officers. "We brace for the next assault." His voice carried the weight of 30 years in command, unyielding despite the odds. Max's team reached the tunnels, their boots crunching on frost. Mira kept pace, her carbine slung but ready. She glanced at Max, noting his grim focus. Her own resolve mirrored his, forged in the crater's fire. The caverns hummed, generators straining to keep the shelters alive. Civilians huddled, their whispers a soft undertone to the machinery. Max checked his rifle, its core still charged. His past drove him, Earth's fall, Electra's salvation. He wouldn't falter. Torin deployed drones to scout the surface. The hollow feeds showed Zereth forces regrouping, their warships darkening the horizon. "They'll hit us hard," he warned, his scarred hands steady on the controls. Mira cleaned her carbine, her movements precise. The rookie who trembled at her turret was gone, replaced by a soldier shaped by loss and fire. She met Max's gaze, nodding slightly. "Ready for the next fight?" she said. Max outlined the defense plan, his voice steady. "We hold the mountain pass. No surrender." The Rangers prepared, their turrets recalibrated, antimatter warheads armed. The Zereth's second wave approached, a storm of steel and fire. But in the icy depths, humanity's defiance burned brighter, ready to meet the enemy head-on. The Zereth's second wave shattered Electra's skies. 50 warships joined the fray, their cannons unleashing torrents of plasma. Beams ravaged the remaining cities, turning 60% of urban zones into smoldering craters. Ice melted into rivers of steam, buildings vaporized in flashes. The planet's surface groaned under the assault, its once majestic peaks scarred by fire. Max Raynor's team, reduced to 40 operatives after the depot raid, fortified a narrow mountain pass. The pass snaked through the Valthor Range, a choke point for 15,000 civilians fleeing to deeper bunkers. Rangers dug in, stacking barriers of ice and debris. Max directed the setup, his tactical armor caked in frost, his rifle slung across his back. "Reinforce the flanks," he ordered, eyes scanning the horizon. General Duran deployed Electra's last 1,000 troops to the pass. Railgun emplacements rose along the ridges, their barrels humming with charge. Soldiers manned them, targeting the Zereth advance. Turan's voice crackled over comms from the core shelters. "Hold the line. Slow them at all costs." His scarred hands gripped a console, directing fire support. Mira stepped into a neural-linked exosuit, its frame sleek and humming. The suit amplified her movements, sensors feeding data directly to her mind. She tested it, dodging simulated threats with enhanced speed. But the power limit loomed. 90 seconds of full boost before recharge. Mira pushed through drills, mastering the controls, her black hair matted under the helmet. The Zereth countered with a nanite swarm, billions of microscopic machines billowing like smoke. They corroded defenses, eating through barriers and weapons. Railguns sputtered, their metals dissolving. Max assessed the threat, his jaw set. "EMP burst now," he commanded. A ranger activated the device, a pulse rippling outward. The swarm deactivated, but allied tech faltered. Comms static, suits offline for moments. Zereth scouts exploited the gap, charging forward. Max and Toran argued over tactics in a hurried comlink. Toran's face appeared on Max's visor, stern. "Frontal assault. Crush them head on," Toran insisted, his voice booming. Max shook his head, dodging a scout's blade. "Guerrilla strikes. Hit their weak points." He fired his rifle, phasing through armor. The debate raged, tactics clashing like weapons. A Zyreth commander broadcasts across all channels, its voice metallic and echoing. "Surrender within 12 hours or Electra faces annihilation." The ultimatum hung in the air, accompanied by images of orbiting warships charging doomsday weapons. Civilians in the past froze, fear rippling through the crowd. Mira overheard the broadcast while recharging her exosuit. Inspiration struck, drawn from Max's tales of Earth's resistance, daring infiltrations that turned tides. She patched into the comms. "We infiltrate their flagship. Strike from within." Her voice carried conviction, the rookie's fear replaced by bold strategy. Max, amid the chaos, hacked a captured Zereth device. Data scrolled, revealing a vulnerability. Their command network centered on a single quantum relay, prone to sabotage. "She's right," Max said, sharing the intel. "The relay's on the flagship. Take it down, cripple the fleet." The team prepared for Mira's plan as Zereth forces closed in on the pass. Rangers recalibrated weapons, cloaks charging. Mira suited up fully, her exosuit's neural link syncing. Max briefed the strike team, 10 operatives selected for the mission. "Cloak shuttle launch in 30, he said, his scarred cheek twitching with tension. Toran coordinated from below, diverting drones to distract ground troops. Railguns fired sporadically, holding the advance. Civilians hurried through the pass, their footsteps urgent on the ice. Mira tested her suit again, leaping over barriers with ease. The 90-second limit nagged, but she focused on the task. Max handed her a virus injector. "Plant this in the relay. Disrupt their comms." The pass echoed with explosions, Zereth walkers lumbering closer. Their shields flickered under railgun fire. Rangers countered, antimatter turrets unleashing blasts. Toran's troops fell back strategically, luring enemies into kill zones. "Buy them time," Toran ordered, his voice steady. Max led the strike team to the shuttle, hidden in a cavern. Engines warmed, cloaking field engaging. Mira boarded, carbine ready. Her transformation was evident, from hesitant rookie to key operative. The ultimatum's clock ticked, 12 hours dwindling. Zereth broadcast repeatedly, pressure mounting. In the shelters, Toran watched feeds. "Go with speed," he told Max. The shuttle lifted, navigating debris. Zereth patrols loomed above, unaware. Mira gripped her controls, resolve firm. The infiltration loomed, a pivot in the war. Max piloted, his past fueling precision. Earth's lessons guided him. The pass held, barely. Zereth pressed, but Electra's defenders adapted, guerrilla tactics weaving through the assault. The cloak shuttle pierced Electra's low orbit, 1,200 kilometers above the planet's scarred surface. Max Rayner gripped the controls, his scarred cheek lit by the console's faint glow. The shuttle's cloaking field shimmered, bending light to evade Zereth sensors. 10 operatives, including Lieutenant Mira, sat strapped in the hold, their weapons primed. The hull thrummed softly, a quiet pulse against the void silence. A debris field loomed, shattered remnants of Electran's satellites tumbling in zero gravity. Max navigated with precision, thrusters firing in calculated bursts to dodge jagged metal. Cirith patrol drones prowled nearby, their optics scanning the darkness. One drone veered close, its red glow locking briefly on the shuttle. Max adjusted course, grazing a twisted hull fragment. The drone moved on, unaware. Mira prepared at the airlock, her neural-linked exosuit humming. Its sleek frame amplified her movements, sensors feeding data to her mind. She ignited a cutting torch, sparks flaring in a vacuum as she breached the Cirith flagship's hull. A pinpoint EMP pulse silenced the security grid before alarms could sound. The team followed, mag boots clamping to the deck, their vibro blades and pulse pistols ready. Inside, the flagship's corridors pulsed with crimson light, the air heavy with the tang of ozone. Cirith cybernetic guards patrolled, their augmented frames bristling with glowing circuits. The team struck, vibro blades slicing through armor, pulse pistols flashing. Max parried a guard's claw, his blade severing its limb in a burst of sparks. Mira's pistol shot pierced another, its optics shattering. The guards crumpled, circuits sizzling. Max hacked a terminal, his decryptor decoding alien systems. Schematics flickered, revealing the quantum relay in the core chamber, guarded by force fields and sentries. "Relay's there," he whispered, pointing the team forward. They moved deeper, shadows slipping through the enemy's stronghold. On Electra's surface, General Tehran launched a diversion. 800 troops stormed from the mountain pass, railguns tearing into Cirith walkers. Explosions lit the ice, shields flaring under fire. Torin's voice crackled through comms. "Keep them occupied. Buy the team time." His scarred hands steadied the console, directing the assault. Mira rounded a corridor, spotting a wounded Cirith technician slumped against a panel. Its optics flickered, movements weak but almost human. She raised her pistol, then paused, a flicker of doubt crossing her mind. Was this enemy truly monstrous? She lowered her weapon, sparing it, and pressed on, the question lingering like a shadow. The core chamber loomed, its force fields shimmering. Guards swarmed, blades flashing. The team fought through, planting a virus injector into the relay. The device hummed, uploading code to disrupt the Cirith's 200-ship fleet. Alarms blared, reinforcements flooding in. Max fired his rifle, phasing through armor, while Mira's exosuit boosted her speed, dodging strikes. The team retreated, corridors erupting in chaos. 2 operatives fell, claws piercing their armor. Max pulled Mira back, his voice sharp. "Extraction point, now!" They fought to the shuttle bay, vibro blades clashing, pulse shots lighting the dark. The virus activated, scrambling Cirith comms. Ships in orbit veered, some colliding in bursts of flame. The shuttle took a hit, engines faltering. The team piled in, hull breached, air hissing out. Max sealed the doors, rerouting power, but the thrusters sputtered. "We're stuck," he said, his tone steady despite the odds. Torin's diversion held below, his troops retreating under heavy fire. Walkers pursued, slowed by the fleet's disarray. "Team's in trouble," he muttered, scanning feeds. Mira checked her exosuit. Its power was low but functional. She met Max's gaze, her resolve unwavering. "We finish this." Max coaxed the shuttle forward, limping through the debris field. Cirith drones pursued, now alert. Mira manned the turret, her neural link guiding precise shots. A drone exploded, fragments spinning away. The flagship's core pulsed erratically, the virus spreading chaos. Toran's drones exploited the turmoil, targeting a Cirith landing platform. Explosions echoed across the surface. Max's past flickered, his childhood rescue by Electrans fueling his drive. He pushed the shuttle, engines straining. The team braced, weapons ready as drones closed in. Tehran's voice broke through. Hold on. Reinforcements en route. The shuttle drifted, caught in orbit's chaos, while the Cyrith fleet faltered. Mira stood firm, her transformation complete, no longer the hesitant rookie. Max plotted their next move, his focus unyielding. The infiltration had struck a blow, but their escape hung in the balance. A fragile thread stretched taut against the void's unrelenting grip. The Cyrith flagship shuddered, its systems crippled by the virus. In orbit, 30 warships veered erratically, some colliding in bursts of flame and twisted metal. The fleet's coordination unraveled, a cascade of chaos rippling through 200 vessels. Max, Raynor, and Mira clung to the damaged shuttle, its hull breached and thrusters flickering. The 10 remaining operatives gripped their weapons, pulse pistols charged as they drifted amid the debris field. Max wrestled with the controls, coaxing power from failing systems. His scarred cheek twitched, eyes locked on the flagship's escape pod bay. We're taking a pod, he said, voice steady. Zireth cybernetic guards swarmed the bay, 50 strong, their blades gleaming under red emergency lights. The team disembarked, mag boots clamping to the deck. Vibroblades flashed, meeting claws in a storm of sparks. Mira's exosuit faltered, its 90-second power limit exhausted. She ripped off the helmet, relying on her training, firing with precision. A guard lunged. Mira dodged, her shot piercing its optics. The machine crumpled. Max slashed another, his blade cutting through circuits. They fought through, reaching a pod. The team piled in, the hatch sealing as guards hammered the hull. Max launched the pod, its thrusters roaring, narrowly escaping the flagship's imploding core. On Electra's surface, General Toran seized the chaos. His last 500 drones surged from the mountain pass, targeting a Zirith landing platform. Explosions tore through the structure, walkers collapsing in heaps of molten alloy. Toran's voice crackled over comms, heavy with strain. We've got their attention. Move fast. Mira gripped the pod's controls, her black hair plastered with sweat. Without her exosuit, she felt exposed, but her aim stayed true. She fired the pod's pulse cannon, downing a pursuing drone. Her transformation was complete. No longer the trembling rookie, she moved with a soldier's instinct, honed by fire and loss. Max's gaze flickered, memories surfacing. As a child, Electran's ships had pulled him from Earth's burning ruins. His family lost to alien blades. That debt drove him now, his hands steady on the pod's navigation. We're not done, he told Mira, voice firm. They've got a bigger play. The Zirith commander, enraged, activated a doomsday weapon via a faltering comlink. A 10-gigaton antimatter warhead, aimed at Electra's core, began its countdown from a cloaked platform in orbit. The fleet's chaos masked its deployment, a final act of defiance. Max's scanner pinged, detecting the warhead signal. It'll crack the planet, he said, jaw tight. Toran faced a brutal choice in the core shelters. His holofeed showed the warhead's trajectory. We delay it, he decided, voice breaking. He ordered 2,000 troops to assault a Cyrith outpost, drawing fire to buy time. The soldiers charged, railguns blazing, knowing most wouldn't return. Walkers fell, but losses mounted, blood staining the ice. The escape pods streaked through orbit, dodging debris. Max and Mira aimed for the warhead's platform, a sleek structure bristling with defenses. The virus spread further, disabling 70% of the Cyrith fleet. Ships drifted, helpless, as collisions lit the sky. Electra's defenders gained a fleeting edge. Max pushed the pod's thrusters, weaving through drone fire. We stopped that warhead, he said. Mira nodded, loading the cannon. The platform loomed, its cannons tracking. A blast grazed the pod, shaking the hull. Mira returned fire, her shots precise, disabling a turret. Toran's sacrifice unfolded below. His troops overwhelmed the outpost, but walkers cut through their ranks. The hollow feed flickered, showing dwindling numbers. Torin gripped the console, scars stark under the light. "For Electra," he whispered. The flagship exploded behind them, a supernova of debris. Max and Mira's pod cleared the blast, homing in on the platform. The warhead's countdown ticked. Minutes remain. Mira's pulse quickened, but her hands stayed steady, the soldier within her unyielding. Max plotted their approach, his past and present fused in purpose. The platform's defenses intensified, beams lancing through the void. The pod shuddered, systems sparking. Yet the virus's chaos gave them a window, a slim chance to strike. As they closed in, the weight of Toran's sacrifice and Electra's defiance fueled their resolve, driving them toward a confrontation that would decide the planet's fate. The escape pods streaked through Electra's orbit, engines screaming against the void's pull. Max Raynor gripped the controls, his scarred cheek taut under the console's flickering light. Mira manned the pulse cannon, her fingers steady despite the chaos. Zereth interceptors swarmed, their sleek forms slicing through debris fields 500 kilometers wide. Lasers flashed, grazing the pod's hull, sparks erupting across its battered frame. The warhead's launch platform loomed ahead, a cloaked fortress of dark alloy, its 10-gigaton antimatter core pulsing with apocalyptic intent. Mira swiveled the cannon, her shots precise. An interceptor exploded, fragments spinning into the void. "They're closing fast," she called, her black hair plastered with sweat. The pod shuddered, shields flickering under relentless fire. Max adjusted thrusters, weaving through a gauntlet of beams. "Hold them off," he said, voice calm but edged with urgency. The platform's defenses locked on, cannons charging with a menacing glow. On Electra's surface, General Toron's 3,000 troops charged Zereth positions in the Valthor range. Railguns roared, their projectiles shredding 15 walkers in a storm of kinetic fury. The machines collapsed, legs buckling, their shields no match for human ingenuity. Explosions lit the ice, casting jagged shadows. Torin's voice boomed over comms, ragged from strain. "Protect the bunkers. Buy them time." His scarred hands directed drones, their antimatter payloads detonating in blinding flashes, carving craters in the frozen ground. The platform's defenses intensified, a lattice of laser turrets unleashing volleys. Mira targeted the warhead's guidance system, her pulse cannon's beams slicing through circuits. Sparks flew, the system faltering. "Guidance down," she reported, but the platform's cannons pinned them, beams searing the pod's hull. Alarms blared, system sparking. Max scanned the structure, his jaw set. "We end this now," he declared, rerouting power to thrusters. He aimed the pod at the platform's core, a reckless gamble to stop the warhead. The pod accelerated, engines roaring. Interceptors pursued, their lasers cutting closer. Mira fired back, downing 2 more, their wreckage scattering. The platform loomed, its core exposed, a glowing reactor feeding the warhead. Max braced, his past flashing. Earth's fall, his family's screams, Electron's ships saving him. This was his debt, his fight. "Impact in 10, he warned. Mira nodded, gripping the cannon, her resolve unbreakable. The pod crashed into the core, hull crumpling in a deafening crunch. Shockwaves rippled, the platform's defenses stuttering. Max and Mira leaped from the wreckage, boots clamping to the deck. They fired quantum phase rifles, disabling the warhead's controls with seconds to spare. The countdown froze, the antimatter core powering down in a hiss of cooling circuits. Silence fell, broken only by the hum of dying systems. The Zereth commander's hologram flickered into view, its metallic voice crackling through the platform's comms. "Surrender, humans, or face annihilation." It revealed a second invasion wave, 100 ships warping in from the system's edge, ready to crush Elektra's remnants. The commander's optics burned with defiance, the crippled fleet rallying for a final assault. Max and Mira exchanged glances, the weight of the ultimatum pressing down. On the surface, Torrens' troops held the line, their numbers dwindling. Walkers advanced, their plasma cannons scorching the ice. Drones swarmed, detonating in tactical strikes, slowing the enemy. Torren coordinated from the core shelters, his hollow feed showing the fleet's approach. "We can't hold much longer," he muttered, scars stark under the console's light. He diverted power to railguns, buying precious moments. Mira rallied the surviving Rangers, her voice steady over comms. "We're not done. Support the surface." Her team scattered across orbit and ground, rearmed quantum rifles and antimatter turrets. She moved with authority, no longer the rookie trembling at her turret. Her shots were surgical, targeting Xerath scouts probing the bunkers. The virus from the flagship continued its work, scrambling 70% of the enemy fleet, ships drifting aimlessly or colliding in fiery bursts. Max hacked a platform terminal, accessing its sensor array. The second wave's signatures pulsed, closing fast. "They're desperate," he said, his brown eyes narrowing. He patched into the Ranger's comms, coordinating a defense. "Regroup and hold orbit." His mind raced, calculating angles of attack. Earth's lessons guiding him. A sudden roar filled the void. Earth's 10th fleet emerged from hyperspace, 50 warships gleaming like avenging blades. Their cannons fired, beams tearing through Xerath interceptors in a dazzling display. The tide shifted, human precision overwhelming alien numbers. Max watched from the platform, a spark of triumph in his chest. "They answered," he said, voice low but fierce. The fleet's arrival shattered Xerath's cohesion. Warships faltered, their virus-crippled systems no match for Earth's onslaught. Collisions multiplied, hulls venting plasma into the void. Mira directed fire from a salvage turret, her shots downing stragglers. "Push them back," she ordered, her confidence commanding loyalty. Rangers on the surface joined the counterattack, their turrets shredding walkers in synchronized volleys. Max confronted the Xerath commander via the hacked comlink. "Your wave's finished," he said, his tone unyielding. "Elektra stands." The hologram flickered, the commander's ship taking hits, its optics dimming. Max's words carried humanity's defiance, forged in Earth's scars and Elektra's resilience. He recalled his childhood rescue, the debt now paid in fire and steel. Torren's troops below executed a final push, railguns and drones overwhelming the last walkers. The bunkers held, civilians safe for now. Losses mounted, thousands fallen, their blood staining the ice. Torren's voice crackled, heavy with grief. "We held. For them." The Xerath fleet fractured completely, surviving ships fleeing into hyperspace. Debris rained across orbit, a testament to humanity's ferocity. Earth's warships secured the skies, their shields forming a protective net. Mira stood amid the platform's ruins, her rifle slung, her transformation complete. She met Max's gaze, a nod passing between them. The victory was absolute, but its cost lingered. Cities were razed, lives were lost, scars etched deep. Max surveyed the wreckage, his purpose fulfilled yet tempered by sacrifice. The fleet's presence ensured Elektra's safety, a bulwark against future threats. As the last Xerath ship vanished, a quiet settled, not of peace but of hard-won survival. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged stronger, their defiance a beacon in the void, ready to rebuild what the invasion had sought to destroy. The Xerath fleet vanished into hyperspace, their retreat a scattering of fading lights against Elektra's starry backdrop. Debris fields drifted in orbit, remnants of the invasion that had nearly shattered the planet. On the surface, 200,000 survivors emerged from the bunkers, their faces etched with exhaustion but lit with determination. They turned to Arundel's ruins, beginning the slow work of rebuilding the city's shattered spires. Ice and stone were hauled, foundations laid anew under the pale sun. Max Rayner oversaw the distribution of Earth's aid from a makeshift command post in the Valthor Range. 500 tons of supplies, rations, medical kits, and building materials unloaded from shuttles while 100 reconstruction drones hummed to life, their lasers carving precise structures from the frost. Max moved among the crews, his tactical armor replaced by a simple uniform, directing operations with the same precision he had in battle. His scarred cheeks softened slightly as he watched civilians reclaim their homes. Lieutenant Mira, now a decorated officer with medals pinned to her chest, trained new Electron recruits in the cavernous shelters. Her short black hair framed a face hardened by war, her pale skin marked by faint scars. She demonstrated combat maneuvers, passing on skills forged in the heat of invasion, photon carbine handling, exosuit tactics, and guerrilla strategies. The recruits mirrored her, their movements growing confident under her guidance. Mira's voice carried authority, a far cry from the trembling rookie who had first manned a pulse turret. General Toran, his scars deeper from the sacrifices he had ordered, stepped down as commander in a quiet ceremony. He entrusted Electra's defense to younger leaders, his gray hair catching the light as he handed over his badge. "I've given enough," he said, his voice steady but weary. The new command saluted, vowing to honor his legacy. Toran retreated to the sidelines, advising from afar, his 30 years of service finally at rest. Max paused amid the rebuilding, his mind drifting to his past. Earth's invasion had stolen his family, left him adrift until Electron rescuers pulled him from the wreckage. Now standing on Electra's ice, he found peace in repayment, the debt settled through fire and resolve. He glanced at Mira across the site, a subtle warmth stirring. Their shared battles had forged a bond, unspoken but real. Earth's 10th Fleet established a permanent orbital defense grid, 10 stations deploying in synchronized orbits. Their shields hummed, sensors scanning for threats, a vigilant ring protecting Electra from future incursions. Shuttles ferried technicians, welding beams into place, ensuring the planet's sovereignty. Mira led a memorial at Arundel's Central Plaza, now cleared of rubble. She stood before a holographic monument, honoring 5,000 soldiers and civilians lost. Names scrolled in glowing script, families gathering in silence. Mira's speech was brief, her voice firm. They fought for our tomorrow. Tears fell, but pride swelled. The fallen remembered in Electra's enduring spirit. The Electron Council convened in a rebuilt chamber, debating Sirith's origins. Intel suggested they were not mere conquerors, but perhaps refugees twisted by ancient conflicts. Voices rose, strategies formed. "We seek peace," one declared, "to prevent cycles of war." Vows echoed, diplomacy prioritized over vengeance. Max prepared to depart for Earth, his shuttle loaded. He met Mira on a spire's edge, the wind whispering through the ice. Their hands brushed, a moment of quiet intimacy amid the reconstruction. "You've changed," Max said, his brown eyes meeting hers. "From fear to fire." Mira smiled faintly. "And you found your peace." They shared a brief embrace, promises lingering. As Max's shuttle lifted, he promised to return if threats arose. Mira watched it ascend, then turned to the recruits, her role secure. Mira stood atop a rebuilt spire, the city sprawling below, humanity's resilience etched in every line. In a quiet moment, she reflected aloud to a close comrade. "War stripped away my innocence, turned doubt into pride. It's not just victory, it's facing our mistakes, protecting what matters. Humanity survives not through tech or might, but through memory and courage." We'll rebuild stronger, repay old debts with fairness, ensuring no child faces what Max did. That's our true strength. Her words carried the weight of her journey, a testament to growth and hope.